am I gonna die doing this? It was even worse because she was touching my legs. It just made it so much worse. I was just like, here we go again. You're gonna be like, you're beautiful, but your hips are way too big. Hi guys, welcome to my channel. I'm Hannah and I was inspired to make this video because of Ship Model Management's petition last week to make the sample size a bit bigger so models can work at a safer weight. All the models' stories really resonated with me, and it's honestly something that I wish that I could have seen sooner when I was modeling so I wouldn't have felt so alone and isolated, and I think it really would have given me a voice, and I hope that this gives other models a voice as well. Before I get into the video, I just want to say that I'm really thankful for everyone that worked hard for me. This video isn't an attack in any way against anyone. This is just to expose the reality of the modeling industry, what a lot of models go through, and how it needs to change, how there needs to be more of a talk around mental health and more of an awareness around what girls are going through. I really appreciate everyone that worked hard for me, so if you're watching this and you're my booker or my agent, just know that I appreciate you, and this is just more about how there can be change in the industry as a whole. So a little backstory is I first became interested in fashion, modeling aspect of fashion when I was 13, and I was always on Tumblr all the time looking at all these fashion editorials and Victoria's Secret models, and I really looked up to them. So I thought, how can I get into modeling? So I decided to email a few agencies in Miami because I was already modeling at the time in St. Pete and Tampa. So one of the top agencies responded to me and I was really excited. I told all my friends, and me and my mom decided to fly down there because Miami's probably 5-hour drive, so it made more sense to fly. I actually met with 3 different agencies, I think, but this was just the initial response that I was really excited about. So I went to that agency first, and I walk in and this woman greets me and she's just like, ooh, you're just like a tall glass of water, and she's had this weird voice, and she didn't really say anything or ask me anything. She just kept looking at me, and I was like, oh god, this is uncomfortable. And finally the agency director came in, and he was the one that makes the decisions and that was supposed to meet with me. So I was talking with him and he was like, who are you? And I said, I had emailed you, you told me to come in. And he said, okay. And he looked up my email and he saw my pictures and he looked at me and then he looked at the pictures and he was like, this is not you. And I felt so humiliated because I said, I don't know how to use Photoshop. I don't know who else you think this is. I took these in my room. I just felt really uncomfortable. I think he was just irritated with me, and it just made me feel weird, but it got progressively weirder. So keep in mind, at this time I was 17, I think I was 5'10" at that point, and 118 pounds, and he goes to measure my hips and he barely even looks. He kind of just threw the measuring tape around my hips and he was like, this is how you measure your hips. And so he put it around the biggest part, which is over the butt. He said, you are way too big, this is not okay, you are 37, you're supposed to be 34, this is not good for modeling, like this is unacceptable, I don't know why you would come in. And I was just so embarrassed because I honestly had no idea about model measurements and how that was important. I thought that if you just looked like a model, you could just go in and model. I had no awareness around this. Of course, yes, it makes sense because it's a business, but he was just really mean about it. And I think that I was so traumatized from that experience just because of his anger towards me and my hips that I really didn't let that experience go. And I think that experience fueled the rest of my own modeling career. I didn't end up modeling in Miami after that. I kept modeling in St. Pete and Tampa, and I just kind of did it as a hobby and a side thing from school. And it was time to go to college, so I thought about modeling again, but then I was just thinking, no, it's probably not realistic because I remember that guy that was upset with my hips, and if that's what I have to do, I probably can't because I'm already such a healthy eater and it just wasn't enough. So I was shopping for college and this guy stopped me and he said, "Are you interested in modeling? I think you'd be amazing for modeling." And I was just like, here we go again. You're gonna be like, "You're beautiful, but your hips are way too big." So I don't really want to go through that again, but I figured I would just take his card. So I did that and I ended up going to college for a couple months. And college wasn't really that stimulating of an environment for me. I decided to give him a call and he said he would help me get agencies, but I knew what I had to do. He didn't ever push me to lose weight, but I knew that was the case because of my past experience. So I started to become really obsessive again. I put myself on a diet. I don't want to promote eating disorders or anything. I just had protein shakes, a little bit of fish, a little bit of greens. I really didn't eat much. I ran for 30 minutes a day. I definitely lost a ton of weight because I really wanted to see if I could pursue this. And I'm 5'10" and I got to 112 pounds. So I think I was about 35 and a half inch hips by then. And I met with a New York agency and I was really excited because modeling in New York was my dream. And before meeting with them, I made sure I ate even less because I really wanted to make it happen. I think I just had lettuce and water during the day. I was even scared. I remember going to a salad bar and I was scared to get tomatoes because I knew it'd make me puffy. And it was just really crazy and messed up. Like I really wasn't eating at all and my head was hurting all the time, but I thought, I'm working hard and I'm gonna make this happen. So I meet with them and they're like, "Hannah, we think you're amazing, you're awesome, and we're gonna work really hard with you before Fashion Week to lose that inch from your hips." And I just remember being so stunned because I was thinking, wow, I'm not eating barely anything already. How much more am I gonna have to do? Am I gonna die doing this? I don't even know. It was just kind of crazy to think about how 112 pounds wasn't enough still. So I actually didn't end up signing with them because I think that was an issue. So I signed with an agency in LA and they were really happy for my measurements and very nice. And I felt a little lonely in LA because I didn't really know anyone out there to begin with. I did have friends, of course, but I didn't really get to see them all the time, and it was always just castings and waiting for castings, going to jobs, waiting for jobs, that kind of thing. It was this whole new lifestyle that I wasn't used to. So I think I kind of got more in my head about my measurements, and I was always thinking about it to a point of destruction where I would do this yo-yo between eating so much food and then eating no food at all. I was very afraid of food. I felt like I couldn't manage, but it became a really big problem, and my agency started to notice and they told me to lose some inches. And of course I understand it's a business, so I have to be the measurements so they can get me the jobs and then I can do the jobs. But I was silently suffering the whole time and I wasn't really telling anyone about what I was experiencing, what I was feeling, and because of this I felt so isolated and just bad. I had this guilty feeling in my chest all the time. I felt guilty. I felt like I wasn't working hard even though I was really trying. I just felt like my hard work wasn't enough and it was kind of eating away at me. It's also really hard to deal with the mean comments on castings. I remember I went to one casting in the beginning and this one woman made me do my walk and she was telling me how terrible I was, how I'm not beautiful, and she wouldn't let me leave either. I remember I was like, okay, if you don't like me, I will leave the building. It's fine. We don't have to work together. But she was like, no, walk again. Like she just had a superiority complex. And I think this is also something that can happen a lot in this industry. Like coming across people like this, it just made me feel so bad. And I honestly wanted to cry when I left some castings. It's not that everyone on the castings were mean, but I think that it's just the mean comments that really got to me because, I don't know. I think it's just easier to always think of the mean comments, even if you also get a bunch of nice comments. On this one shoot I had, the stylist was making me change into tights in the back room, and everyone on the set was really nice. It was just this weird experience I had with a stylist, and I was taking off my clothes and she was gonna help me put on the tights, and she stops and looked at my leg and she was like, wow, they let you model like that? Like you have such fat legs. And I remember I was so embarrassed, and it was even worse because she was touching my legs. It just made it so much worse, and I just felt this like stress go through my body. I didn't know what to do because everyone was so happy outside being like, yay, you're in your outfit, and I didn't want to say anything. So I didn't, I just kept it in the whole shoot. And then when I got in the car after the shoot, I just started crying. I called my sister and she was like, you really don't sound happy. And I wasn't, but it was such a tough decision. I didn't want to stop modeling because I loved modeling. I love fashion. I love being in front of the camera. I love style, and I don't know, I just love so much about modeling. But at the same time, I felt like I was never enough, and I felt like all of my hard work was never enough. I became really addicted to juice cleanses, and I would go on 5-day juice cleanses. It was really bad. At first it really helped because if I needed to lose measurements or weight quickly, it just really helped just like take it off really fast. So I would do that. I would get these weird headaches from it. I would get these really strange starving headaches. Like it would be pressure here and here, and I was constantly feeling all these pressures in my head. So I was really lethargic all the time, and I couldn't really think straight. But I knew if I do this, I will achieve my goals and it will help me with my job. So I thought it was worth it. And there was a time when I needed to come into the agency to take digitals, and I went on a juice cleanse 5 days before because I knew that would really help. And I was so sleepy and lethargic on this juice cleanse, and I really wanted to quit the juice cleanse. I was really tired, really suffering from it. But I told myself no. I was like, no, Hannah, you're gonna work hard, you're gonna do this. And by the 5th day, I went on the scale and I was in tears. I was 120 pounds, and that was my heaviest weight when I was modeling, and that was the weight that was problematic for me to work. So I just felt so upset, and I was like, I'm gonna humiliate myself so much by going in there. They're gonna think I'm not working hard, but I'm really trying. And I didn't want to tell them either because I didn't want to come off as a complainer. I didn't want to be unprofessional either. I just felt like it was my job and I was failing my job. So then they would say, Hannah, you really need to lose your inches, and they would remind me, and then I would get this whole stress reaction, but I didn't say anything, and so it all internalized, and it really was not healthy at all. And I really know that I'm not alone in this because on Shit Model Management's poll for their petition, it says a poll of 4,481 of my followers, out of that 65% said they had an eating disorder as a direct result of modeling expectations. So this is a huge problem. I'm not the only person that's been experiencing this. So I think that there needs to be more of a talk around mental health and wellness in the industry, because I think that a lot of girls feel silenced because they're worried that, oh, I might not work if I complain, and oh, there's somebody behind me that can do my job just as easy as I can. I also didn't really want to complain about my weight struggles either to people outside the industry, because I think that people would have thought that I was fishing for compliments or something, like, oh no, you're skinny. But it's like, really, I just felt bad about my body and the way I looked. I was very insecure, and sometimes it's still something I have to turn off today. I'm just like, don't think about those negative messed up thoughts that you got from that. And then the people in the industry, of course, I didn't want to say anything either because that was my job and I didn't want to feel like I was failing at it. When I was modeling, my lowest weight was 105 pounds. I was 5'10". That was when I was working in Japan, and I would work the best when I was 105 to 110 pounds, and I'm 5'10". So really not a healthy weight. I would get heart palpitations, I would get headaches all the time, I would feel like I was gonna pass out sometimes. And it is true that I would book more work when I was 105 to 110. I would book way less work when I was 120. Of course, it could be different for all different types of models, but I think that just by talking about this, it can expose what models go through and hopefully help make changes and bring more of an awareness about it, because I don't want anyone to be silently suffering. It really bothers me that someone could be feeling the way that I felt right now. That really bothers me, and I feel like it doesn't have to be that way. I think that I really loved modeling. I was actually really heartbroken when I stopped because I really love fashion. I love shoes and bags especially, and I just love traveling, meeting new people, so many things about it that I loved. But the reason why I quit was because I had something that completely changed my perspective. This experience completely changed my perspective on everything, and I don't think I would have quit if it weren't for this experience. Basically, I had a family member who suddenly got really sick, and she had cancer, and I was feeling a little stressed about that while I was feeling stressed about my measurements. So it was kind of like the both things set each other off, and I wasn't really eating because I just felt really overwhelmed and stressed. And I remember I'd come into the agency, and of course they had no idea, so I'm not blaming them again, but I would come in and I would get really praised for how skinny I was, and they were like, oh, like, you're doing so well, we're so proud of you. Meanwhile, I was miserable, and it was just a really weird experience to have death juxtaposed against praise. And I think that it made me really see things differently. And what I thought from that experience was, if I were to suddenly get sick and die from it, would I be happy with the way I left things? And the answer is no, I wouldn't. So that's when I knew that I needed to change what I was doing, or at least take space from modeling, because I really didn't know how to handle it in that headspace I was in around loss and my relationship to food. I'm really happy that I got the chance to take space from modeling, because I found other passions as well, like food and wellness. I have a food blog now, theheartbeat.co, and I really like to share that with the world because it promotes a healthy lifestyle and relationship to food. I don't have to always overthink everything. I really love working out and eating healthy, but not chasing a number. I think chasing a number can destroy you, because I would fixate in front of the mirror, look at my legs, look at every little detail. Even though it was my job, I feel like that's just not healthy, and nothing good can come from that. I guess what I'm trying to say from this video is that there needs to be a distinction between self-harm and hard work. So hard work is putting in your energy and effort into something, but self-harm can also be that. And I think this is where things can get a little confusing, because I thought that I was working hard and that my hard work was not enough, but I think that my hard work wasn't enough because it was self-harm. And I think it's so important to make that differentiation, that it's two different things, and it's important to work hard, but it's also important to care and to love yourself. And I think that if you're doing something, no matter what it is, if you can't care for yourself and nourish and feel healthy, then it's really just not worth it. And I don't even have anything against modeling, actually. I'm against people silently suffering, and I don't want people to feel silenced, even in whatever job you have. If there's something, if you love it but something feels wrong and not right, I hope that this video can give you inspiration to speak out. I don't think that people should have to fear their income over being honest about the way they feel. Thank you so much to Ship Model Management for exposing this, and if you haven't already, please sign the petition. I just saw this as an opportunity to speak out about my experience with the whole modeling industry, and I know that if it happened to me, it's happening to other people, especially based off of the polls, and I hope that changes can be made. I think also one of the reasons why I wanted to quit was just because for my day-to-day, I felt this heavy, guilty feeling all the time, and I just felt like my insides were rotting, honestly. Like, I just felt this heavy, bad feeling, and I just couldn't shake it. So I needed to take space to realize how can I get my inner peace back? And I think that's always going to be the most important thing to me, no matter what I do, is I want to work hard, but I also want to have inner peace. It's always good to question the status quo, never just be okay with it. I think that there can always be changes made. Just because things have been a certain way for years doesn't mean that they can't change. Thank you guys so much for watching this video, and if you like this video, please subscribe.